what you think, Fred. All right.
Fred.
Like, dude, you're an idiot.
I'm doing very well, Jen. Is it just going to be me and you, or Eli and Zach going to pop in?
Yeah, they'll talk every once in a while. But
Every now and then we'll kind of.
he was already here right away.
It kind of, well, we're used to you attacking us, so.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Look at
Let's just put it this way. Who do you see as the quarterback week 1 for the Green Bay Packers?
I see.
Welcome, everybody, to a holiday/New Year's edition of Open Book here on Game On Wisconsin. As always, Eli Berkovitz here with Janelle Mackey and a new guest this week, Matrix. Thank you so much for showing up to the show. It's really nice to have you. I mean, I've always been a big fan of the movies, and you came in with your name already ready to go, and it's all very.
When did you change that? When did you do that?
I did it at the perfect time.
I had no idea. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks for that.
I was going to see if you would just not notice the whole time, but I kind of had to do it. But
if you didn't tell me, I wouldn't have noticed.
I know. Well, me and Jen were thinking of whether or not you were going to show up already with that being your name, but of course, we had.
No, why would I do that? It's like the stupidest diss ever. Like that's like so far from the worst thing I've ever been called. How the hell do I change this?
I'll change it. I don't know if you could.
I got it. There we go, bastard.
But yeah, everyone, Packers, 3rd win in a row. Big win over the Dolphins on Christmas Day. So real quick, though, before we get to the game, I assume, right, I mean, I already forgot your guys' Christmas plans, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say you spent it with some family and enjoyed yourself, and hopefully I'm right, Jen.
Yeah, I spent it with family. Drove down to my sister's on Christmas Day, got there in time to watch the game. Luckily, my niece picked my sister and her fiance to go play Ring on the Rosie so I could sit and watch the game. So it all worked out. But yeah, I mean, watching that game like in a Vikings fan's home, I think he was kind of, trying to be supportive, but like when they would score touchdowns, he didn't high five or anything. So it was kind of funny. But I think this week, just knowing that like what this week brings, there's a little bit of that heat going on in the family right now.
Yeah, I'm sure for you, especially this week in Minnesota, will be a fun one against the Vikings. But Zach, how about you? Your big Christmas plans before we get to this intense game?
I had to, because my family, we do like all the Christmas stuff like early in the morning. We've done that like for years since I was a kid. So it was like, I had to get up extra early. Everybody had to get up extra early to like really accommodate to my schedule because the Packers played at 10 and it's 10 in the morning over here. It's not
Do you like wake up at 5 and go like wake up your mom and go find the presents that Santa left you?
No, I actually got woken up. I got woken up by my sister coming. She came because she works a night shift. So she got off work at like 6.
Oh, geez.
Came here and I was like dead asleep. I was going to sleep in. Get up at like 8, get ready for the inactives and stuff. But no, she comes in here. It's like 6:15, wakes me up out of a dead sleep. And for once, I was on the side of like, no, fuck the presents. Let me sleep. I want to sleep in for a little while. When growing up, it was always me waking up out of the entire house, getting everybody up and alert so we can open the presents and shit. But no, yeah, it was cool. Just spent it with family, football. Nice. Pretty much that's every holiday nowadays.
Yeah. Family, football, food.
Exactly. The 3 most important F's in anyone's life. But
it's 3 of them.
Yeah, it's 3 good ones. But yeah, it was a wild game, and Chris, I appreciate. It was good. It was 8 days, which all of you know. So it's like weird. You don't like pinpoint one moment because it's like 8 days, but I would say, yeah, the Packers winning twice over those 8 days is probably the perfect present for me. And of course, some great presents from you guys. I know already for sure. Well, I should have worn the hat because.
No, it's fine. You hate it. It's cool.
I hate it. Yeah, pretty perfect weather for it. But guys, let's jump into the game. Packers Dolphins 26-20. Obviously, Packers season was on the line. Came out with a win. Big defensive performance in the second half. So Jen, watching that game, obviously I would imagine, very tense. And at what moment, or if any moment, did you feel like, all right, maybe they're going to pull this out? Or were you stressing out till that last pick by Razul?
I mean, I don't think there was ever a time that I really felt like they were out of it. That whole game, I really felt like, they were in it and the offense seemed to start off on a really good note. I think the moment where I thought we were going to lose it was with the fake punt. I'm still like trying to figure that. Like I was driving home from work today and it just like popped in my head. I was like, I can't believe how dumb that was. So I think like that moment made me kind of less optimistic. Like, is it going to be one of those games where they're going to be playing kind of like scared, where they're going to be trying to do all that fancy stuff? But no, for the most part, I felt pretty relaxed during the game, which was a really strange feeling. And I don't know if it was just like the good Christmas holiday vibes that were going on, but I mean, I really didn't feel a whole lot of like roller coaster emotions like I normally do.
Well, I wish I could say the same. I don't know why, but I feel like the last few weeks, when you would think with this season almost over, I would not care, but be more relaxed. But been very tense the last few weeks, but it's worked out. Zach, how about you? And real quick, Chris, this was originally a Levitt jersey, but I flipped it upside down to make it a Watson jersey. So it was close.
Well, if you do the backflip, then it's a 6.
If I did a backflip, I would certainly break my neck. I don't even know if I'll get that far, honestly. But yeah, I'll try it maybe next show. But yeah, Zach, so how are you feeling throughout the game? And yeah, why don't we talk about a little bit what you thought about that fake punt? Because I'm sure a lot of people have different opinions on it, or maybe not.
I mean, I don't understand why you would try a fake punt in that situation. And
Yeah,
it seemed like they didn't really have the freedom to kind of opt out of that call. So it's like they were kind of like stuck with it.
yeah.
At least that was like the impression I got from Matt LaFleur when he spoke. But as far as like my feelings throughout the game, I mean, when it got to 20-10 and they were down by those 2 scores, I was just kind of like, okay, this is probably where it just slips away. And then they do that thing where they begin coming back in the second half and instilling this false sense of confidence in everybody, and they look like a competent football team, but they've come up just short, kind of like how they did against the Bills, how they did against the Eagles, that kind of thing. But they didn't. They fought. And that was like the most surprising part of that whole game, just the fact that they fought. And you could say that's pretty much a microcosm of the team this season. Like they're fighting through that 5-game losing streak, the times when they've looked like complete shit. Aaron Rodgers is hurt, all these different injuries, losing Rashawn Gary, losing Eric Stokes, the uncertainty with David Bakhtiari. They haven't really lost sight of just what's in front of them. And like, trust me, there's been so many times this season where like I've made a mockery of this football team. I've joked about them on Twitter at their expense. I've memed the fuck out of them. But that's the one thing like I can't like stray away from. It's just the fact that they fight.
Yeah.
And we saw that in Miami. I mean, it was one of those rare occasions where they were able to double dip going into halftime. They got the field goal going into the half. Thanks to a huge, I literally just posted it on Twitter a few minutes ago because I was watching the tape, that big 4th and 1 conversion to Christian Watson where he got blasted by Eric Rowe and he hung on to the ball. Like that led to 3 points. And then
that was a game saving play, honestly.
That was. And I don't like a lot of people kind of like don't really like fixate on that because it was just such a small kind of, it seems insignificant kind of play in the grand scheme of the game. But then coming out of the half, they lead to that touchdown. And they're able to tie it up at 20, 16 unanswered points. And I mean, you could say Tua's concussion played a part in it. I'm not going to get into that. I don't know. I don't know what effect his concussion had on those 3 interceptions in the second half and just that downward spiral in the fourth quarter. But regardless, I mean, you find a way to win. You find a way to win. You take advantage of your opponent's shortcomings, and that's what the Packers did. 3 interceptions. I mean, they didn't roll over and die. That was exactly. That was the thing. That's the theme.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of teams in their situation, yes, they won 2 in a row, but still, season on the line, down early on the road, and after some really explosive plays, a bad fake punt, I think a lot of teams would have kind of just packed it in right there. They obviously didn't. Jaron Reed, probably his best game as a Packer, forcing that fumble right before half, going and getting the field goal. So, I mean, yeah, just a really nice just game to see them, like you said, just continue to fight against a really good team, a really good offense. And now this is 2 of the last 3 weeks where they've gone on huge runs at the end of games. I mean, 16 unanswered this week, 18, I believe, unanswered versus the Bears to win one 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago with the bye. And of course, the win versus the Rams, where they also shut them out pretty nicely in the second half. Over these last 3 games, they've I don't know. I missed
Dude, it's a fucking mess in those comments.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to read it, but they're too fast. But yeah, the second half defense. I don't know what's changing at half and why they can't do it the whole game. But 9 second half points given up the last 3 weeks, as opposed to 42 first half points. And as Todd says it right here, obviously we got to extend Barry after this. Very no, definitely don't want to be taken out of context on that. So I'm just going to be quiet on it.
Jimmy Leonard's officially available, so.
That is true. We got Jim Leonard on the market. I'm sure he will not make his way to Green Bay because it would make too much sense. But yeah, outside of, the obvious on the defense, Zach, who do you look at maybe offensively that you thought stuck out for the team and played a huge role in getting this win?
Woof, woof, woof.
What?
Oh, sorry.
Barking. Big
Zach.
dog.
Yeah. No, I don't want to say Mercedes Lewis because obviously he's a factor in the running game and he had that big catch, but
Ooh, we didn't even talk about that throw. Huh.
He only good things can happen when he scores, right? Like I feel like you can't have a big dog touchdown and then go lose the game. It's just the vibes are too high.
I think they've done that before, actually.
Well, no, not right now.
Okay.
not in these cutthroat times. Not in December for sure.
No, not in this current political climate. Not a chance.
If you want me to pick one player, then I would say Christian Watson, just because of that 4th and 1 I mentioned. He had a couple big receptions, I think, on the Packers' second drive. One of them was one of those alert plays where he just kind of Aaron Rodgers, he's faking a handoff and then he just kind of just dips it in there, flicks it in there to Christian Watson. He takes a slant across the middle. Then I think the play after that, he took a slant across the middle again. For someone who's his hands were his biggest issue coming out of North Dakota State, and he had the drop on the very first play from scrimmage of the year. He has really turned it around. And his hands, his hands have probably become his greatest, next to his speed, of course. But just the one thing that's kind of really stood out to me from him the last few weeks, he has sure hands now and he can be trusted. And the fact that, we didn't mention this, but the fact that Rodgers went to him on that 4th and 1 play and trusted him, he had Mercedes Lewis. Mercedes Lewis was open. He was an option on that play, but he trusted the rookie. Knew he was going to get blasted, but he hung on to the ball. And, that was a big reason why the Packers were able to climb back into that game. So that's my one player on offense that really impressed me. And I'm not totally sure. I haven't really looked at his whole season yet. But I think it was a season high in catches for him. I'm not.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm almost certain because he had 6 first half catches before he hurt. I don't even think he's had. I'm almost certain he hasn't had 6 catches before. Let me see. That's his season high.
Yeah, before that it was 4. So
yeah. Christian Watson obviously great, and then also Adam made a good call here with Josh Nyman going out. Royce Newman, I was a bit nervous honestly when he came in, but essentially you didn't hear his name, which is obviously what you want out of your offensive lineman. So Royce Newman, good stuff. Hopefully though, the Packers have their full 5 going up against Minnesota, which I'm sure we'll get to the injury report in a minute. But before we do that,
realistically, just kind of staying with the offense, it felt like kind of a game where everybody did their part, and that's why they were able to be successful. The tight ends, wide receivers, running backs, offensive line, even Patrick Taylor going out there and making that catch. Everybody was doing what they were supposed to be doing, and it kind of felt like for the first time everything just kind of clicked. Obviously you're not going to play a perfect game, but it just felt like consistently everybody was in there having a good day, doing their job, and I don't know, that kind of is something that stood out to me, not one specific player, just kind of the way that the offense ran through all 4 quarters.
Yeah, it was overall a solid performance, but number one, I know it was only 1 catch, but there was something about that Robert Tonyan catch, I think it was in the 4th quarter, over the middle, that I don't know. I just enjoyed. I want to see him more involved in the offense. It's frustrating that he isn't. And then also, before we jump into the injury report, going into, of course, the Vikings game, is it just me or are the refs potentially worse this year than I think I've seen, maybe ever, but for sure in a long time? I mean, multiple huge passing interference, at least the way I saw it, were missed. And that was maybe the more frustrating part of the game. Early to Watson in the end zone. And then I think in the second or third quarter, they went deep to Dobbs. He was held. And then the interception, Lazard was definitely contacted. Was that just me being upset, or what did you guys see on those?
No, it felt like bad play calling. Like, realistically, unless it was holding on the offensive line, they really weren't calling anything else in the game. Like, that's kind of the only spot that I really saw them zoning in on both sides was just the offensive line holding. Otherwise, there really wasn't any calls being made, and some big ones missed.
I mean, don't get it twisted. The refs have sucked all year for every other team. It's like a league-wide pandemic. Right?
No, I didn't say for the Packers. I said in general. The refs this year just seem to be awful.
There's been a lot of just bad refing across the board.
I'm just saying, like, I'm okay if they don't call a couple DPIs here and there. I'm fine with it, as long as it's called fairly on both sides. Like, if you're going to let the wide receivers and the DBs battle, you're going to let them kind of get handsy with each other, then whatever. Just don't visibly favor one team. Yeah. Call it fairly on both sides.
No, I would say that I'd rather refs let the guys play than super ticky-tacky, like garbage calls. That just drives me nuts. But I thought those were pretty blatant. For sure, the one on Watson to me was very clear. But either way.
I mean, all don't lie, and Jair got the interception right after one of them. So
yeah, after the Lazard pick, yeah. And by the way, Devondre Campbell flashing some serious hands for a linebacker on that catch, on the interception, which was enjoyable to see. And all right, so before we jump into this injury report, just because, I feel like Packers fans will want to hear about this maybe for a minute or two. Who's ready for Davante Adams to return to Green Bay next year? The writing's on the wall, very clear. Derek Carr's on his way out. Leaves Davante Adams hanging. What are your guys' feelings real quick about this whole Derek Carr, Davante Adams? I mean, of course, he's not
available. Bring Davante back. I mean, just bring them all back. You know, they had their 1 year stint. Time to come home, you know?
That's how I see it. I just think it's very clear.
Look, if Brian Gutekunst pulled that off, if he got picks for Davante Adams, drafted 2 future stars at wide receiver, and then got Davante Adams back a year later, then yeah, you build him a fucking statue. But
but unfortunately,
come on, let's be serious.
Yeah, but it's funny. I guess it's just more funny to me to see how quickly an entire franchise collapsed when they were supposed to be at their highest in years. But look,
that whole division was supposed to be a battle.
The division has been trashed.
Like, you have the Raiders, you have Denver, just
Denver.
nothing in that division.
I can't believe I almost forgot about that.
Hey, Russell Wilson has officially tied the bathrooms for those.
He has tied his bathrooms.
So
very impressive.
I'm on the bathroom side, so I hope there's no more touchdowns. But
yeah, I'm a huge toilet fan personally, so go bathrooms. But was I the only one? I kind of felt a little like I feel bad, for Hackett. I feel like, I mean, yeah, he did. No, you thought I feel bad for Russell Wilson?
Yes, I was like,
no.
I thought you were talking about Devontae, and I thought Zach was reacting to that.
No, I
feel bad for both of them.
Look, there's no doubt that Hackett. I mean, the whole Broncos. I mean, it looked like a joke, but it just looks so bad. I mean, to give up 50 points to the Baker Mayfield-led Rams is. Ooh, what a hack. How have I not seen that yet? How has no one even said that? That's actually pretty good, Chris. But
who was it? Oh gosh, how do you say his name? Dari. His conspiracy with throwing Hackett at the Broncos after the whole trade conspiracy, having him burn the organization from the inside out and then come back to Green Bay.
Oh, is that his conspiracy?
I think he put a tweet out, and I was like, I could follow. I don't follow a lot of conspiracies, but I would hop on board with that one.
I love conspiracies, and that's a good one from Zaire. But I do wonder. I doubt it, but there's got to be some small amount of truth to them thinking either Hackett would help getting Rodgers, or that they thought maybe they were going to get Rodgers regardless, and getting Hackett in there was going to help.
Yeah,
because,
definitely, absolutely. Because
I just don't know. Yeah, I just don't know why else. Not that he was obviously good as the offensive coordinator for the Packers, but it seemed pretty likely that it was very Rodgers connected, and it just did not work.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think he's best suited as just either an offensive coordinator or a consultant, just someone that has a hand in the construction of the offense, not a head coach. I mean, wasn't fantastic in Jacksonville outside of, I think he was their head coach in 2017 when they made it to the AFC Championship. But, I mean, outside of that, the track record is really, it's just abysmal.
Yeah.
So,
well, I believe he was just the offensive coordinator in Jacksonville. I think it was Doug Marrone, which, by the way, the fact that he had a job in Jacksonville for so long was
he really?
Right? Yeah, I think Denver was his first coaching job, unless maybe he was the interim coach.
No, you're probably right. I don't know why I thought Hackett was the head coach. Whatever. Anyway, bring it back to Green Bay.
Yeah. So I was going to say, I mean, people are talking about it. I think at this point in this season, even as a consultant or whatever, I wouldn't want to see it. I just feel like he has a lot of negative energy around him right now. I'll see it for next year, but I don't know why he would need to be brought in with 2 weeks left of the season to
fix up this goddamn shitty red zone play calling, whatever they're doing inside the 20.
If he could bring the gold zone, bring back the gold zone would be the only reason I see to bring him back again this year. It's not that I have anything against him. I just feel like he has such I don't know. It's not a good energy coming out of Denver right now. So
I mean, who would have good energy in Denver right now, though? Let's be honest.
Russell Wilson has the best energy. That's right.
Plus, he's making a shit ton of money to do nothing for that team.
You've been watching too many Aaron Rodgers interviews talking about energy.
No, but I mean, no, I just feel like, come on, the guy's been beaten down all season. I don't even see that. now you look like Jair in the end zone. Like that.
Oh, yeah.
Jair doesn't look stupid like that.
Yeah, that is true. Jair looks very good doing just about everything. Whatever that post game.
Oh my gosh, did you see the practice photos that came out of the entire defense? That was one of my favorite things.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
Having fun. This team is having fun right now, and that means they're going to be successful because now they're kind of back to that whole, you could see it in the game, the vibes, practices, all that stuff. Everything just seems so much happier right now, and that is huge because when you're happy, you play better. So
that's why I don't understand why people say oh, what's the point of making the playoffs? You're going to get smacked in the first round. You're not going to be able to compete with these teams. That shit doesn't matter.
You just have to make it.
Yeah, get into the fucking dance and anything can happen. You can't predict the outcome of games. We see every single week some form of upset happens. A team that isn't supposed to win ends up beating the shit out of the other team. Yeah. For example, first example that popped in my head, the Panthers and Lions. Lions are on this hot streak. Everyone's riding the Lions nuts, and the Panthers just absolutely wipe the floor with them and rush for however many.
I think it was 350 rushing yards, which is hilarious.
Yeah, and
without McCaffrey,
any given Sunday, let alone in the playoffs.
I was in the middle of putting together a tweet, a poll, asking Packer fans, because I know there have been people saying they don't want to make the playoffs, and it was basically that. Do you want to see them make the playoffs or lose whatever draft picks, this, that? But I couldn't even put it out because I'm like, it just seems ridiculous why anyone would root, for sure at this point, to now make the playoffs. Maybe a month ago, if you're that kind of guy who wants to see them go 5-11 and get a top 5 pick, whatever. Maybe I wouldn't be happy about it, but fine. They're 2 games.
You don't know how a draft pick is going to pan out either. You could get a good draft pick, and then they could be a total bust in the NFL.
Yeah,
you lose the locker room, you lose the fan base, you lose. I mean, you can't be called Title Town and then go out there and throw games. Exactly. It's just not the way that this team functions.
Yeah, and you can't make like you said, you can't project what a player is going to be. You're not drafting the selection, you're drafting the player.
Yeah.
They found Romeo Doubs in the 4th round. Tariq Carpenter he's been amazing on special teams. He made a great tackle on Sunday against the Dolphins, and he was drafted in the 7th round. So you're finding gems across the board. It doesn't matter what pick they're at. Yeah, it'd be nice if you get a very high premium draft pick, but
there's no guarantees. We've seen more than enough Packers high picks not exactly pan out. And that's not to say the Packers are bad at drafting, but every team has to bust. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
So obviously
they do better in the later rounds. So like,
That is
why
true,
does it
yeah.
even matter?
I feel like just 4th through 7th is where they're most consistent, honestly. Somehow, it's just where they are. But yeah, seeing the Packers. I mean, at this point, obviously, I think everyone can agree. You want to see the Packers make the playoffs, regardless of how it ends. But for that to happen, of course, they have to take care of their own. Ooh, I would say Happy New Year to his thick cheeks, but. They got to win. They got to win their next 2 games. They need a little bit of help, not a ton. They need Washington to lose 1 game or New York to lose both. I would say if they win both of their games, the odds are pretty high they can get in. But it starts this Sunday in Green Bay against Minnesota. So, Jen, kick us off. Looking at this game, obviously a rough loss week 1. That was a long time ago. What are you looking for the Packers in this game specifically to change the outcome and get a win and keep this streak going?
Yeah, I mean, well, the crazy thing is that even after that first week, I had a lot of Vikings fans telling me if Christian Watson makes that catch, that's a completely different game. And now that Watson's hitting his stride, like hopefully, the injury, is it still the hip? That's the problem. Either way, he's like banged up right now, did not practice. But this offense is a lot different. They've had time to, figure out how to work with one another. And I think that's going to be huge, is just this offense clicking, because I mean, there's not a whole lot about this Vikings defense that's like out of this world terrifying. I mean, it's a team that they're familiar with. They know exactly what's coming with that defense. And really, I think the biggest thing is just going to be stopping like our defense showing up. But offense wise, if you can have Watson and Dobbs, and now you got Toure in the mix, and you got Cobb and Lazard, and then just all these factors, and then Dillon and Jones, I mean, this offense should be able to produce points. And it's a home game at Lambeau too. So they've kind of had time to hit their stride. And I think at this point, a lot of Vikings fans are kind of scared, because I've already seen tweets about, like the refs are going to, give the Packers this win. So I think a lot of them are kind of scared of this team right now. And the luck of the Vikings can only run for so long. And I think that there's just too much on the line right now to be able to let them come into your house and basically take away your playoff spot. So I think there's just a lot of, not just what they need to do physically on the field, but just like mentality wise, I think this team is in a good spot where they're going to be able to stick with this team and not go down and, not be able to come back from it. So what did that say?
About Jones's touches. So obviously, Aaron Jones 3 touches in the first half last week, but it seems like he went into the game banged up, got a little bit more banged up in the second half. Zach, what are your thoughts on the general usage of Aaron Jones? How much you think is injury? How much you think is play calling? How do you see it?
Sorry. I don't think they intentionally kept Aaron Jones out on Sunday in Miami. I think the injury is real. Everything he's battling through right now, and Matt LaFleur has even mentioned it a couple different times. Like he's alluded to it. If you have to, then limit his snaps. Whatever, do what you have to do. Ride AJ Dillon. We saw some good stuff from Patrick Taylor against the Dolphins. He made a big 3rd down play. So, you have a capable tandem back there that can, give you carries. Don't push Aaron Jones to his limit if there is like a nagging injury that's potentially going to plague him for their potential playoff run. I don't know what's going to happen, but if it comes to this Sunday though, like I don't think the ground game is going to be as much of a factor as it's been the last several weeks. And that's not because the Vikings are going to be good enough to stop it. Like their defensive front can certainly be ran on, but they have the worst passing defense in football. Like by the amount of yards they've given up, by the amount of yards per game they've given up, they can easily be attacked through the air. And I think that's something the Packers should emphasize, is airing the ball out, getting Christian Watson more involved, getting Romeo Dobbs more involved. So they're not going to necessarily need to use the ground game as this like major foundation to get their offense to work. I think they're going to find success through the air with or without the running game. So if that means kind of scaling back Aaron Jones's usage, then so be it.
Yeah.
I think otherwise it should be pretty nice. So you won't have to worry about the air game as much being a factor, because I think it's going to be close to 40 degrees. So
that's a summer day in Green Bay.
It's going to be like sweating. I don't know how to
Yeah.
dress for 40 degrees. Like, I don't know how to do it.
I would just get dressed and then see what happens. I usually, in these times of the years, when you're freezing in the morning, you're sweating in the afternoon. What did that say? Oh, Lord.
Just a lot of words.
Yeah.
Why would you put that on the screen, Jen?
Yeah.
I have no control.
Yeah, sure. You have no control over
I
your
think
sleep.
Eli's the only person who actually has control, unless you got the login.
No, the Matrix got in there. But yeah, so Aaron Jones, obviously, I mean, everyone, I feel like I say it every week, but I want to see him get as many touches as possible. But I agree with Zach. Assuming he has this ankle injury, knee injury, whatever it is, you don't want to overwork him.
It's called a shin.
Okay, all right, relax. It's right in the middle, so it's kind of the same thing. But yeah, I obviously want to see him healthy for, well, this is the stretch run, but I guess maybe once they get to the playoffs, hopefully once they get to the playoffs. But yeah, going up against this Vikings, like you said, one of the worst pass defenses in the league. So that's why the health of Christian Watson is going to play a big factor. Of course, missed practice today with a hip, as well as Keyshawn Nixon missed practice today. We all know, obviously, how important he will be. And then I think Yash was limited, right? And then Bakhtiari was limited.
Oh, was he limited?
Yeah, so Yash.
Or no, it was Rodgers that didn't practice.
What?
No.
Well, no, oh, right, yeah.
He was more of like a vet day, I think he ended up saying.
Oh, yeah, Rodgers, with the knee. But, wouldn't be too concerned about that. But I think the big thing will be, number one, getting Bakhtiari back and hopefully Yash coming back. So having all five starting offensive linemen. And then, Christian Watson, I obviously am very much hoping that he can get back on the practice field and go out there and play. But if Watson is not going to be playing, Jen, how do you see the offense kind of making up for his loss? Where do they turn to? Maybe more run game, someone else in the pass game? How do you see it going down?
Yeah, I mean, I think you still utilize Dobbs in that way. I mean, you still have your reliable receivers like Cobb and Lazard, but Dobbs still has his young speed and all that stuff. So against a really bad pass defense, I think you still target the air. And it would be huge if you could have both of them together out there. But I think Dobbs could be somebody who then would step up if Watson either has to go on like a pitch count or if he's unavailable. But I'm really hoping that the football gods let him have his redemption game and he's healthy enough to at least take some snaps.
Yeah, so of all weeks for Watson, obviously against the Vikings, it would be a big one, even though, I would love an explosive, violent run. Wow, you guys wild right now today in the chat. But Zach, how about you? Just in general, the Vikings, they are just managing to win games. We all know it seems pretty fraudulent. It looks very ugly most of the time.
Who keeps throwing those up on the screen?
Not me. But what do you think the Packers need to do to finally just kind of stop these strange, seemingly almost lucky victories for the Vikings, or at least fraudulent, in my opinion?
Rip the horseshoe out of their butt. Score more points than them.
They are known for having horseshoes.
I wasn't going to say anything about ripping their ass cheeks apart, but that works. Jen, thank you.
I didn't say you had to pull them apart to do it, but
yeah, you just got to get in there.
I will get it. I'll personally get in there.
I'm sure you
will. Basically what I said, they need to just pass the ball, air it out, do what you can. Like if you get your foot on their neck, if you manage to get them in a position where, you have a comfortable lead, put your foot on the neck. Don't let them come back because we've seen it multiple times this season. They come back. They don't die. They're a lot like the Packers in the sense where they don't fucking die. They don't stay down. The only difference is the Packers come a little close. They don't actually
get there.
Come back. The Vikings, however, everything goes their way. I mean, they're fraudulent. If there's a fraudulent team in the league this year, it's the Vikings. And I'm not saying that because of the cavalry or because, Vikings fans suck. Like, I actually know a lot of very cool Vikings fans. They're I think Bears fans suck. Vikings fans, whatever. But that's a fraudulent football team. They're just getting lucky. Eventually that luck is going to run out. And all
I mean,
their
anyone watching,
Jefferson being really good at football and being able to save Kirk Cousins' ass every whiffed pass he makes. So
yeah, but exactly. I mean, eventually,
because he's a statue. That offensive line is not good enough. And then just hope that if he throws one up to Jefferson, that we're going to be able to play defense on it. Because I know everybody's like, oh my gosh, look at all these catches Jefferson's making. It's amazing. But that's because Kirk Cousins isn't throwing him an accurate pass, and he has to be this stellar player that he is. So kind of take away that factor and then make the other guys on that team play football.
I'm telling you right now, they're not going to have an answer for Justin Jefferson. I think like him and Devontae Adams, I think, are the two best receivers in football right now. They're
That's
like
why
1A.
Kirk Cousins. Don't let
Yeah,
him.
that's the only way. That's the only way.
not a pressure him.
You could say the same thing for pretty much any other team. If you want to stop their big play threats down the field, get to the quarterback, knock him off of his pedestal, kind of get him moving around in the pocket. If you do that to Kirk Cousins, then yeah, you have a better chance of limiting the effect Justin Jefferson has on the game. But I don't think they're going to have an answer for him. I mean, we've seen Joe Barry's defense play football this season, so like we have kind of an idea of what they are as a unit. A lot of talented players, a lot of really good players that you can argue are just not being utilized to their full potential. That will come back to bite them more than anything if they do make a playoff run. It's this defense.
Yeah.
And
So are you guys team like have Jair shadow? Like, do you think that's going to make a huge difference? Or is Jefferson just too good where it really doesn't matter and you're just going to have to hope that you win like 50-50?
I would prefer to see him try to shadow, and that's purely just because I feel like, and this is, look, Rasul Douglas makes some nice plays, but he has been just a liability in coverage repeatedly this year, and I just feel like Jefferson can just cook him all day long, and Jair, he'll probably get, I mean, it's Justin Jefferson, he's going to have his big plays, but I would rather see our number one guy against their number one guy as often as we could, and when he's not, or even when he is, I mean, I think we should be doubling him as often as possible and just make anyone else on that team beat you.
it's tough because the way the Packers like play defense is like, we're gonna let you get these yards underneath, but then we're gonna get a bunch of hats to the football, and we're gonna bring you down before you can really advance your catch. But the thing is, even if they do let Jair Alexander shadow Justin Jefferson, Joe Barry's defense doesn't really play man very often. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but don't play man very often.
That's crazy.
They're not going to turn their backs to the quarterback. That's just so rare. Now, if they let Jair Alexander shadow Justin Jefferson, that limits the amount of flexibility that they have with Justin Jefferson, being able to move him around, get him into different positions. Because if they play zone, if they go with that same look, the same scheme that they've been doing every single week, which is more likely what they're going to do, that's more than likely going to happen, then they're going to have a lot easier of a time, the Vikings are, of moving Justin Jefferson around like a chess piece, putting him in favorable positions to exploit some of these matchups. Now, shadowing him with Jair, that's not going to be the cure. That's not going to stop Justin Jefferson, but I think that gives them a better chance. Your best corner against their best receiver. Sometimes it's just as simple as that. Sometimes it doesn't need to be overcomplicated. Sometimes it's just that's it.
And I feel like we've been seeing that with the defense all year. And like you said, I know they play mostly zone, so traveling and shadowing your number one corner isn't always going to be the solution. But in a situation like this, against someone as dynamic as Justin Jefferson, I just feel like you should be putting your best player on him when you can. But yeah, obviously, Packers season, just like the last few weeks, essentially, it's win or lose. A loss will essentially end the season. So going into this game, Jen, how do you see it going down? Obviously, in Green Bay, 325, huge rivalry matchup. We know the Vikings are going to want to keep the Packers out of the playoffs. How do you see it going? And if you got a score prediction, what's that?
Well, I'm not gonna say any jinxes or anything, but good things tend to happen when I'm at Lambeau, and bad things to the Vikings tend to happen when my sister goes to Vikings games and I'm bringing her. So maybe the duo will kind of bring a little bit of magic because I'm superstitious, but I don't want to say any jinxes. I'm just saying that there will hopefully be some good vibes brought by the Mackey girls. But I mean, I'm expecting it to just be what?
Nothing.
You laugh at me?
You laugh at me? You dare laugh at me?
Don't laugh at me. No, I mean, I think Lambeau is going to be electric. I think that, everything is on the line right now, and I'm really hoping and expecting this team to just come out and leave it all on the field. I mean, you got 2 games left, and you have to win both of them. And this is the biggest game of the year. I mean, you're playing a division rival who has already clinched a spot in the playoffs, who has beaten you already, who, they're just an insufferable team and fan base and all that stuff. So I'm really hoping that this team can just go out there and remind them that they don't totally own the North. So they're just kind of renting it for the year. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just I have a lot of, nervous, excited emotions about this week because obviously it could go one way or the other. And it's either going to be really, really good or really, really bad. And I feel like either outcome, those are going to be kind of how I'm feeling. I'm either going to be electric or I'm going to be distraught. There's not going to be a neutral feeling about this game at all.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, anytime the Packers season could potentially end, but especially against the Vikings, it leads to a lot of emotion potentially. But well, Jen, do you have a score prediction before we get to?
I'm trying to think. I think I'll say Packers 27-23.
27-20. I like that because it will not come down to a Mason Crosby field goal, which I cannot handle, especially in the Lambeau.
256, I put on my face.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that is true. Mason going 4 for 4, by the way, is also not talked about a ton, but that was pretty awesome for him to do last week, especially hitting what was it, 46?
But I don't think anything could handle that.
No.
So
maybe if it was like a 32-yarder, but anything above that, I would not.
But I also will be in an end zone spot, so it would be kind of cool to see. But I would prefer not, because otherwise you'll probably just see me pass out on TV.
Then it might actually be worth it. That would be pretty funny, actually. I think.
No thanks.
But Zach, how about you?
Up, and there goes Jen.
Yeah, Jen goes down, ball goes in. That works. But yeah, Zach, your score prediction and just general thoughts going into this game. What do you want to see out of the team?
I mean, I'm not going to tell you what I want to see. Good. Because I already told you that. I told you that twice. I mean, I want them to air the freaking ball out. I want them to be passing.
Yeah, Eli, quit asking him stupid questions.
Yeah, Eli, shut up.
That's fair. That's fair.
I want this to be fucking 2011. I want to come out empty, 5 wide, just throw the goddamn ball. I'm just kidding, sort of. No, I think the Packers have all the momentum in the world right now, and I think they're riding a little bit of a high, and it's a confidence high, And we hear Aaron Rodgers all the time. He's like, "Oh, I thought it was a good week of practice. The energy was good. This and that." If that's going to be the case this week, if they're going to continue this little stretch that they're on, then it's going to kind of be dependent on where just they are mentally as a team, how they're going to handle this, because they've done nothing this season to show us that they can be a team that can make a deep playoff run. They're still, they rattled off 3 wins, 2 of them against bad football teams, but they've done nothing this season to show us that this is going to be a team that can be reckoned with in January. So we have no idea what they are right now, but if it boils down to confidence and momentum, then they have all the confidence and momentum in the world to ride that high. So I think they win. I think they beat the Vikings 31-23.
Nice, 31-23. And I definitely agree when it comes to the confidence. Not only do the Packers have a ton of it, but the Vikings they just got 2 lousy, barely wins against the Colts and the Giants. Both games they were trailing in. Obviously, we know how much they were trailing against the Colts. So this Vikings team, yeah, exactly. They're sloppy. And anyone who's watched their games knows whether it's ridiculous turnovers or flags or drops or just balls bouncing a certain way, they've had a tremendous amount of luck this year. And like you said earlier, it's going to run out, whether it's now or in the playoffs or both. It's going to run out, and they're
trolling. They're absolutely trolling.
Yeah, Yeah, they like to do the reverse. The reverse.
Yeah, the reverse psychology.
psychology.
Yeah, Ben does that like it's in his fucking
Yeah,
genetics.
in fantasy, which
We're not
I
going
don't
to
wanna
talk
talk
about that.
yeah, no, we can't
We're not
get
gonna
into the league right now. But
in the Vikings' defense, like they've looked sloppy. They've still found ways to win.
no, they're not like a terrible football team, but
I know, yeah. I'm like piggybacking off of what I said because I don't want to make it seem like, oh, the Packers have been perfect. The
yeah,
Packers have looked like shit too. They've been winning sloppy games. Like they have not looked good either. But like the Vikings, they're finding ways to win. They're not dying. They're not going down. So
They're a terribly ugly winning team.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd rather a terrible, ugly winning team than a good-looking losing team every day. So
Right.
let's keep winning, no matter how it
I
looks.
don't want my like sixth graders to be able to talk shit to me on our first day back at school.
No.
I do. That'd be funny as well.
When the Packers win, I hope you talk shit to all those kids and ruin their weeks because kids are trash. That's what
100%. I'll be the most annoying, insufferable person in the school that day, for sure.
I have no doubts about it. But no.
I mean, I usually
right.
am, but
Yeah, I was going to say, regardless of whether or not the Packers win or lose, I think that's fully possible. But of course, I wouldn't say that because it's just a terrible thing to say.
And one more thing too, the Vikings have a new weapon now on offense that they didn't have in that season opener. They got TJ Hawkinson now. That's a game changer at tight end that the Packers have to account for and that we haven't mentioned yet. So that could be a game changer right there. That's going to be tough.
Yeah, but we have Bo something that I forgot his name.
Oh, Melton. Respect him.
Melton.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about all of it. But yeah, that is true. Hawkinson, they need to make sure they lock him down because he can just rack up like 8 catches and keep getting those 5 to 7 yard gains, first downs.
He's on my dynasty team.
Oh wow!
As soon as he got traded to the Vikings, I dropped him. Couldn't do it. Like I
still don't understand that. What's wrong with you?
I don't want Vikings players on my team. I want zero reason to ever care about that team winning.
Okay, so if someone in your league just happens to like offer you Justin Jefferson in a trade, what would you do?
Morals.
I agree. I mean, I don't know.
I can't do it.
I wouldn't go I wouldn't go out of my way to turn it down, but I also doubt that I would draft Justin Jefferson, which doesn't feel right to me. But
no,
it's not that I don't fucking understand being a fan. It's fantasy football. That has nothing to do with fandom.
No, but I want zero reason to ever root for anybody in this state. Like I want to just be able to watch them and hate them with my whole heart. I don't want to be like, oh, I hate them, but like at least I got some fantasy points. No,
I need to be in more leagues with you, man. Jesus.
Yeah.
I didn't have Hawkinson in this one, but I did get blown out in my playoffs for that family league. So that was just my entire team doing absolutely nothing. So
yeah,
had nothing to do with the tight end position. Herbert decided to get 6 points. Devontae got 1 point. Jacobs got 5 points. Like it was a disaster playing for third.
All right, well,
but I am in the championship in one league. So
that's nice.
I'm in the championships in 0 leagues because it's been a terrible fantasy season for me. But
I was in the championship in 1 league, but I lost.
Oh, has it already happened? How did that happen?
Yeah, it was this past week.
Interesting to do it 2 weeks early.
It's an 8-team league. Four teams make the playoffs. 4 teams don't.
Okay, well that's fun. 8-team league, that works. But okay, but did I give a score prediction? I don't think I did. But I'm gonna jump on. Spit it out. Well, I will say that the Packers will win because I can't be that guy to say they won't. I like Jen's call of 27-23, but I'm not going to stick with that because it would be too lazy. So I'll go 27-20. Packers defense once again in the second half make some key stops, and the offense, as Zach so clearly wants, airs it out. Rodgers has a nice game. They get the win on New Year's Day, setting up a potentially massive showdown with the Lions in Week 18. But until then, everybody, enjoy New Year's, enjoy the holidays, whatever time you're still spending with family, and thank you all for coming in today. But before we head out, real quick, make sure to follow our producer, Andrew, at Mertens_Andrew, and Jen, of course, at BigMac_4. Jen, anything else you are trying to promote this week?
No, just
All right.
getting
Just
ready
as
for
a
my trip to
fair-
Green Bay. I'm very excited. I've never
Yes.
been to a Packers Vikings game, so this one is going to stress me out a lot. So
Well,
wish me luck.
We better bring that good luck you were talking about and get the win. And
100%.
Zach, of course, at it's Zachary J. We're just waiting for him to change that name over to it's Matrix J. He'll get there soon enough. And of course, myself at Book of Eli_NFL, and at the bottom of the screen, you will see. Make sure to follow Game on Wisconsin on Twitter at Game on WI. Subscribe on YouTube at Game on Wisconsin. Everybody, Happy New Year. We will see you.
It's our last show of the year, so we'll see you guys next year.
Oh, seriously.
Just for that, Zach.
Oh, fuck you, dude. I hate you.
If you make terrible jokes, you get broken necks. That actually hurt. That one hurt me. You gotta get out of here. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week at 8-8. Go Pack.
What you think, Fred? All right.
Fred.
Like, dude, you're an idiot.
I'm doing very well, Jen. Is it just gonna be me and you, or Eli and Zach gonna pop in?
Yeah, they'll talk every once in a while, but
Every now and then we'll kind
he was already
happened-
right away.
It kind of, well, we're used to you attacking us, so.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Look at
Let's just put it this way. Who do you see as the quarterback week 1?